Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our 2025 studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast, and excited about today's interview. Sitting in this office again. It's been a while since I have, but always appreciate coming down here. And who do we have on the show today? Let's start with that.
My name is Tiffany Strong Hutchison. I always still say Tiffany Strong because that's how everybody remembers me, because I'm big and strong. I work for Heartland Capital. I'm Director of Business Development here with Heartland Capital, though I've worn several hats throughout my journey with this company and with other companies. That's the one that they've settled on. It's a running joke. Our boss says that I am his junk drawer. If nobody knows how to do it, can do it, he gives it to Tiff to do it. But that didn't fit well on a business card, so they made up the title Director of Business Development.
Junk drawer can be a very valuable skill set, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good thing to, I always say my, my resume would not reflect my talent. You know, it's hard to put down when people say, what are you good at? I'm like, not really good at anything, just decent at a lot of stuff.
Yes, I'm duct tape and scissors.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. So, well, thank you. First of all, Heartland is obviously, I mean, I think it goes without saying, such a large name in the industry. It's one I recognized early on whenever I got in. Just hear so many good things about them. So many of your partners. We've had the pleasure of meeting with Chris and just some of the team. And me and you have even been kind of on the same side of the football field once or twice.
Yes, we have. We worked together.
We did, and it's appreciated, and your leadership and just like your reputation, I feel like has always been such a positive thing. And we even cross paths a little bit from time to time now with partners and things like that.
And with the NSRA and everything, when we set up for that. You're always there. I'm always there. We're just a staple in the industry.
You just got to pour yourself into it.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, I'm not wearing the traditional bow tie and suspenders and all that get up today. I feel overshadowed with this beautiful like blazer, this Heartland blazer. Is that just a Tiffany thing only?
Etsy will set you up.
Okay.
You send them your logo, and you can get this in a full business suit if you want one. But if you want to contact me and I'll sell you one, we can work on that too. No, I did this for an event that we went to, and it got so much attention. I said, I'm going to wear that often, and I have, and it gets the looks.
Yeah, well, it looks great. It looks great. So how did Tiffany get started? We were sharing a little bit beforehand, but I wish I could. No, you're fine. I wish I could capture that magic in a bottle again. And I'm curious about, what was your introduction to rent to own, or really even the shed industry in general? I mean, most people don't talk to their guidance counselor and say, I want to work in rent to own, or I want to work with sheds as I get older. So you kind of fall into it in some way.
Yes, I did fall into it. It was quite a surprise. So my mother had always owned restaurants, and I owned a restaurant, and that was my life. That's how I was raising my children. Back at the end of the day at 2:00, whenever I'd wash the dishes, I'd throw my kids in the 3-compartment sink and wash the dishes. That was my life, is raising the children at the restaurant. Well, one afternoon after I got home, the kids were out in the pond swimming. I had a trailer that I lived in, and I was washing dishes in the sink, and they were way out in the pond swimming. And I see all the kids running up to the house. They're going, Mama, Mama, there's a man here. There's a man here. And I go to the door, and I open the door, and it's the guy that came in every morning and got a sausage biscuit with mustard. And I was like, why is the sausage biscuit with mustard guy here? And he said, hey, I hear you're good at bookkeeping. And at that time, I was running the billing for his cousin doing a trash company. And I said, well, yes, I went to school for accounting. So I was doing that on the side. He said, can you meet my wife and I down here? And it was right down the road from me at the horse barn at 6:00 in the morning. Now, to this day, I have no idea why he asked me to be there at 6:00 in the morning, because no one in the rent-to-own industry starts at 6:00 in the morning. I know I don't, but I did, and they showed up with a shoebox full of the repo paper. And they said, first of all, we need this organized. How do I do this? They had an accounting firm that was running the rent-to-own paperwork and doing the billing and all that, but they needed a structure for repossessions. So I got in there, and I'm an Excel geek. I love Excel. And I did this whole formulas and everything, keep up with your aging of whenever it went out for repo, all this stuff. And I thought it was fancy back in the day. Thought it was so fancy.
It was fancy probably back in the day.
Yeah. This was 25 years ago. And so I thought I was really big to do. And I started selling my little repo spreadsheet to other companies. I actually sold it to Heartland, even though I wasn't working for Heartland at that time, for $25. I sold it to another company for $25. I'd meet people in their chicken barns and in their back offices, and they would say, we don't know what to do with our repos. And I was making the big bucks, $25.
$25 at a time.
Yeah. And then I fell in love with the industry, and that job right down the road from my house gave me such an amazing thing, because I was also homeschooling my children. So I would leave them their lesson plan, because some of them were older and one of them was a younger. She was a baby girl. She now works in our repo department here at Heartland. But they would bring me my lunch every day on the four-wheeler. That's how close I was. They weren't old enough to drive yet, but they could bring me my lunch on the four-wheeler. And so that was really cool that this industry has helped me throughout my path of being a single mom for many, many years, to not only buy houses and provide for my children, but also it kept us very close together.
So this gentleman needs help with repos. You say, hey, I've got this wonderful program. I wrote down organized systems and processes, because what come to my mind in that moment is, think about how far we've come here in 2025 from Excel spreadsheets, which are still honestly used in a lot of capacity in the industry.
Oh yes, don't take away my Excel.
But to zero, what am I trying to say? Goodness, every now and then I have a moment too.
It's okay.
So see, that's perfect for me to have them, because then you know that it's a normal thing to do. Where I was trying to go with that, let me get back my from POS systems and ERP systems to. Some people still don't have a process. I'm sure Heartland provides a, solution for that for your partners.
Yes, absolutely.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
I can remember back in the day whenever it was the 3-page carbon copied contracts that came in with paperwork with the check paper clip to it. And maybe some people still are doing something like that. Oh, it is so important to get to a point of sale where you can go paperless and just send your information over. So Heartland does help our partnerships do that. We either suggest a software for the larger companies that we can export and import and keep our open APIs available, but we also provide a platform for dealerships that onboard with us that is a point of sale, that they don't have to hand figure out their payments or information. It's right there. They just type it into the computer. Now, we do have some smaller based dealerships that are not computer savvy, or they're older and they don't want to learn a computer, or they have a religious reasoning that they don't have a computer. So we do have a department set up that those clients can call in. We fill out the form for them.
Genius.
And we can email it to the customer for signature.
Excellent idea, and a testimony to sort of like the longevity that Heartland is in the industry, to be able to provide those and to be able to say things like repo department or department to help these kind of serves as an example to me of like the growth and the blessedness that you guys have had through good work ethic, good just people getting in the dirt and getting things done. I mean, because sometimes it just takes a certain amount of elbow grease to get in here and make things happen. But systems and processes start to make things so much easier. And it is complicated in this industry where things are changing. It feels like things are changing in technology annually, monthly, sometimes.
You made such a valid point of making your departments. That is a system in itself. When you start out, you are every department. And learning how, and that was hard for me, to learn how to delegate authority and break off a piece, because I'm kind of a control addict. And so whenever you figure out how to break off a piece, hand it to someone you trust and let them have ownership of it and watch them grow with it. That has been one of the most beautiful things to watch in this industry, is standing back, peeling off a part of me, handing it to them and letting them run with it, because they can make it bigger than I can ever make it.
They may actually expose a talent that they never knew existed. You know, I was talking to a previous employer recently, and I said, I would still be working here and be tickled pink at $16, $18 an hour. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I had tons of free time. I had way more free time then than I have now. Sometimes I envy that and want it back. But I said, I didn't know what talent I possessed until I had the opportunity. And me and you talked about faith a little bit off air before we even started talking really on the podcast. And one thing that was stuck out to me in that conversation is your will. I mean, God gives us free will, and a person who's willing does more than a person who's, I like to say, someone who volunteers instead of being voluntoed. Someone who can grasp something and say, I want to take that and do a good job with it, will actually outperform you when you delegate that task and trust them with it completely.
Oh, yes. And credit to having faith and having the grace provided to me. my salvation is really a recent thing. If you look at my timeline of life, I was living a different life, and 5 years ago, God dealt with me up in a graveyard. I went up there where my grandmother was buried. The wind was blowing. I cried for 3 hours, and there was a movement and inside me, and I've become a different person. And actually, I became such a different person that some of my friends would come to me and say, "You're different." And at first I thought that's a bad thing, but now it has served me so well. It has changed the way I work with people, the way I communicate with people, the way I talk with people. I'm not as much of a narcissistic, controlling person. I sit back and let them do them, and I get to see they look like beautiful wildflowers all growing, and that's prettier than me doing it myself.
Yeah, you'll wear yourself out trying to. I mean, that's the secret to. It's the secret to growth, is what so many people have told me, the ability to delegate and delegate well. There's some folks that have jobs in this industry because I was lucky enough to be able to meet with people, and they ask your opinion, and you like to think you've got it right all the time. I know I don't, but it feels really good to look back at a couple of those instances and see where, you just said the right thing, you did the right thing, they took that advice, they did it, they grew it. Next thing you know, you've got someone. I mean, we've literally created some competition for ourselves at times.
Absolutely. Because they quit and they go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, it's a man, what a conversation we could have there for 10 minutes on just, literally seeing this in people right now in the moment. It's like, it's different when you train someone to do what you do and they do what you do versus train someone to be better at what they are meant to do.
Yeah, I'm going to name drop right now because there's one young lady that she took it to a different level. She's running our repo department, Samantha Pear. So Chris, the owner of Heartland, he owns several different companies, and he owned something called Military Flight Travel. It was a different company, and she worked there. Well, we dissolved that company, and she started. Of course, she was a good employee, and since that dissolved, he wanted to retain her, so he brought her down here to work in the call center. And I was over the call center at the time, and she started just there. And she blossomed so quickly. And then she moved into the repo department. And she just took over, and she has made that her little family. They are so close over there. And they're in the call center, but they have a little office, and they are all in there together. And there's a feeling, just a family type feeling when you walk into the room. They might bicker at times, just like a family does. But you better not be mean to them because they will defend each other too. And she has built that within her department, but then that goes out towards her drivers. The drivers treat them all like family as well. And so she's done a really good job of bringing culture to her department.
Well, you guys have just done a good job in general. I love, and this is, we talked about questions beforehand, and it's like, hey, I like to let the conversation flow, let it go where it goes. But I always think about like Chris. Chris is such a staple in the industry, and I'm always like, man, what makes that guy tick? He's always such a wise business person making wise business moves. And I know he's involved in, just from being local here, and even more than just like rent own and different things. I think, you guys can correct me, but I mean, we saw the devastation of the tornado.
Yes.
And I think the temporary courthouse is back here. Am I right in saying like all this back here is part of? Yeah.
Chris owns several commercial properties.
Yeah.
And what happened in Mayfield was absolutely devastating.
That's terrible.
And he did have some commercial properties that were affected. But the majority of what we have is here at the plaza, and it was not affected by the tornado. So he was able to provide space for the courthouse for everybody to rent while they're rebuilding the courthouse.
It's sort of a testimony in itself, and like the success he's had. Because I always tell people, like, look, I didn't grow up business savvy. I mean, like our parents struggled. We grew up pretty poor. I mean, by most standards that I would tell people. And it's really neat to be around those business minds like that, because I always say you can't work. There's 24 hours in a day for all of us, and you can't work yourself into. I don't want to use the word wealth, because I feel like it cheapens like that identity. That's not what his identity is built on. What I'm saying is, you can't work yourself into being a wealthy person. You can't work yourself, and you have to delegate. And it's a testimony to how he's delegated, and just having the mindset to hire folks like you and others who have kind of done those things.
Hello, shed sellers. Let's take a moment to discuss the shed customer and meeting their expectations. I remember growing up in the neighborhood where a certain percentage of the houses had well-manicured lawns and well-manicured homes. These were the type of individuals who felt it was important to purchase a well-constructed home or vehicle, or maybe equipment to help maintain the quality of the item. As shed manufacturers, we seek to provide a well-built quality shed. We want the customer to feel satisfied that their hard-earned money has been well spent on a product that will last. At LuxGuard, we believe adding high-quality rubber flooring to your line of sheds makes sense to the customer and adds value the customer can appreciate. With each year, sheds are becoming more complex. The customizations we are seeing are virtually endless. LuxGuard not only gives a complimentary aesthetic appearance for their shed, but also protects the floor from spills and keeps cleanup simple. Offer your customer the customer service they seek with LuxGuard. At LuxGuard, we are committed to delivering exceptional customer service and innovative products to help our customers achieve their goals. We strive to meet the evolving needs of the customers. To speak with one of our ready-to-serve customer product specialists, simply call 336-468-4311. To see our product and view an installation video, just visit our website at luxguard.com. LuxGuard, the floor that lasts a lifetime.
He humbly says all the time, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just surround myself with the smartest people in the room. He was raised as well. There were multiple children in his family. He'll tell you stories about they didn't have much money, so they had a hydrant in the middle of their kitchen table where everybody drank out of. That's all they got to drink was the water. So he had very extremely humble means. There is a joke that's out there, the difference between a Burnett and a Burnett. A Burnett doesn't have money. A Burnett does.
Okay.
And so he was definitely a Burnett whenever he was born.
I know the family's huge.
Yes,
I mean, my goodness, I meet a new Western Kentucky Burnett, Gaither, you name it, constantly. But there's kind of like an identity with all of those guys that, they all display kindness. They've always been respectful. I'm a bit envious. I come from a big family, but, poor family, and then a family that just eventually dissolved and very broken and things like that. But, you guys they grew up on the other side of the river from me. I mean, we as the crow flies, we were probably 10 miles apart.
Yes.
In growing up. So I'm always impressed whenever I get around people like that. And I try to glean from them, and I try to take what Chris said. I try not to be the smartest guy in the room, but I try to learn. I try to listen. I believe there's so much value in listening. A lot of people see me as a podcaster, so I talk a lot. So guys, I only talk a lot because I listen a lot first. And I think if you can do that, it develops, some thought, because there's a saying that says if what you have to say is not more valuable than the silence, you should just be quiet. So I'm putting myself on risk by speaking at any point, because I have to conclude to myself, is what I have to say here more important than just being quiet? And I think that's why it's so important to communicate. I think in this industry, it's why it's so good for us to come together. We can compete under the love of Christ, right?
Oh, yes.
Like we can collaborate under the love of Christ. But I just, I'm just naive still enough. I'm holding on to a little bit of the world can be a better place if we can all get a little better heart, talk a little kinder, be a little better. And I don't know, at the end of the day, and I just went through this traumatic experience this week, right? At the end of the day, I'm asking myself, how can I be in tune with the Holy Spirit to discern what I should say
what I should do, how I should act, how I should represent myself, my company, all these things. And we get it wrong sometimes.
Oh, yes.
You know?
I've been wrong. But being able to admit you're wrong when you're surrounded in a safe place. Heartland has given me such a safe place. I've been doing this 25 years, but I haven't always been with Heartland. But Heartland gave me such a spot that I felt safe, that I could heal, that I can say, I was wrong. I made that mistake. And the team works with me to fix it. And having that safe spot is really, really important whenever you're building a company.
Well, and being a leader, that comes with a whole different set of pressure.
Yes.
Being a leader in the industry at this point, you no longer can say, well, I mean, you can say we're learning and things like that, but people oftentimes look to you for your opinion.
Yes. And Chris set that example to me, sitting right here. This is actually his chair in the conference room. And I usually sit where you're sitting. And John Carr, our accountant, sits right there. That's like our assigned seats. And I remember the very first time there was something that happened. I got my feelings hurt. I can get a little emotional, but I don't like to tell people that. But I can be a little emotional. And my feelings were hurt on something. I don't remember what my feelings were hurt about. But I remember Chris, my boss, sitting in this seat, looking at me and saying, I was wrong, I'm sorry. And when my boss can say, I was wrong, I'm sorry, that's an example for me. And I have tried to follow that ever since.
Yeah, it takes a certain amount of humility to even gather those words. And, you know, I like to say the valleys are full of people, Tiffany. The mountain's tall and the peak is narrow. It's hard to get up to the top of the mountain. And if you do, I feel like there's a responsibility to look over your shoulder and help others get up there with you. But there's a reason a lot of people fall off along the way.
Yes.
Pride and ego and so many things. And I'm telling you, I hear so many good things about Heartland, just out being on the road, even before I ever met Chris, you know?
And it has to do with what you said, helping others, because other people have helped us get here. We couldn't be where we are without other people helping us. You grew up right across the river from us. We didn't know anything about computers,
right?
Or the internet. The internet was bad back in the day.
Oh, we can preach on this, I'm sure, for a long time.
It was bad.
Now it's AI, right?
Yes.
You know, it's the devil. And I'm like, well.
So people had to help us get to where we are, so we have to help other people. I do say a lot of times it's the connections in my phone, because I still call other rent-to-own companies for advice. Other rent-to-own companies call us. We have a nice little knit built up of people that are willing to share information. Of course, and I tell people all this all the time, nobody's ever going to share their number of contracts or some specifics like that, but they can explain to you the hows. How do you do this? How do you do that? Maybe not your specifics, but your hows. Like, for example, exporting and importing data out of RTO Pro. That was life-changing.
Yeah.
And if someone hadn't helped
Talk
me
about
learn
Excel.
that, yes.
Like on steroids, right?
Yes. The data entry team getting all the information uniformed. Oh, and then you can run analytics. So doing all that kind of stuff, you can share that information because you're making someone else's life better, even if they are your competition.
Yeah. It's always, to me, it's always a struggle of defining those specific characteristics. Gosh, when am I giving away a trade secret? When am I giving away something that's vulnerable to me? My secret KFC recipe that no one gets to know. Right. But then also, where am I, expanding the industry? I got dirty looks, some dirty messages, even whenever we've gotten into any level of business. We can talk about all the bad, right. I've been told, don't get into this or else, or a lot of things that I don't necessarily share on the industry, but with the industry. But I just always, what I like to tell people, and there's a few of my close inner circle that'll tell you this, is, I just like to just give it to the Lord. Hey, it's not my time, it's not my money, and it's not my business. Mm-hmm. So if there's an opportunity that's going to present itself for me, you got to take it up with Him,
Yes.
because I can't do anything about that, I'm going to try to do the right thing in all situations. Digital Shed Builder is an online shed configurator that strives to provide incredible visual quality, fantastic customer service, and an amazingly low price point, making it a perfect fit for any shed dealer looking to increase their online sales. Digital Shed Builder is simple to use, taking less than 5 minutes to integrate on your site. The Get a Quote feature streamlines your sales process, showing you exactly what your potential customers need. They offer a highly customizable experience that accurately represents your brand and unique shed offerings, working with you directly to set up everything you need in a configurator. With no extra startup cost, no lengthy contracts or commitments, and no hidden fees, Digital Shed Builder has been created with quality, simplicity, and affordability in mind.
Even sharing some of the negative is so important because we have some of the field agents from different companies that will call because fraud is so bad now.
Yeah.
And so we do have to work together.
We need
as
to collaborate on
large
that.
unit,
Yeah.
not Heartland here and this other company here and this other company here, but all of us coming together to work on the fraud in the industry. Because guess what? The crooks are working together.
Yeah.
So why don't we work together to combat? Because
What a great point.
if they get Heartland for, XYZ amount of money, then they're going to get this. And I'm not just talking about dealers or manufacturers. I'm talking about nits of customers. Nits of customers are hitting us. They're hitting these other companies. And we'll get to talking about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, that name sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, that name. So doing something, coming together to eliminate the fraud in the industry is extremely important.
Yeah, I agree. You certainly talk to a lot of people privately, whatever it looks like. I talk to a lot of people through the podcast, and you hear a lot of those same things. And it's like, where can we work together to better the industry? I think there are some people actively attempting to do that, and Heartland's obviously involved. And like I said, you'll be seen as a leader in that opportunity to take that space to say, well, hey, this is what we've experienced, and we'll pull you up by your bootstraps if we can help you, show you a couple things here or there.
We're being test dummies right now, and I hope it works.
Well, all I can say is I hope you don't lose a whole lot in that process, because, man, you just hear some horror stories out there. And it's sad. It's sad because you got to try to determine and decipher what's rumor and what's fact and fiction. I mean, you hear it from customers, you hear it from dealers, you hear it from manufacturers, and sadly, I've even heard it on a couple of situations from RTO reps. And I think that's just devastating if those are real, things and not just gossip, because I just don't want any gossip.
No, you don't want gossip at all. Only facts and only. Yeah. We have our attorney here, and I said, I asked him, can I share information? And he said, if you're sharing facts and facts only, that's not defamation of character.
Yeah.
If you are telling gossip, then you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
If you're making up stuff or assuming, you never assume.
Yeah.
But if you're just stating a fact, hey, the sky is blue today, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And sadly, I don't know. I heard somebody tell me one time, we grew up kind of in the same area. Did you ever grow up hearing lying comes second nature?
Yes.
I used to hear that all the time. Like, lying comes second nature to that guy. I had somebody tell me one time, well, it seems as though lying's becoming first nature. Like, you can give people the opportunity to make a fair dollar, and they'll choose the unfair dollar. Why are crooks working so hard
I don't know.
when there's so much opportunity to do right and to do good by people and make a good living?
Well, I can answer that because Satan's roaming around like a roaring lion.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah.
It is their first nature, because that is how the world has developed.
Yeah. Well, I love what you guys do. I love that you guys are, like I said, continue to lead the industry by example. I'm certainly blessed from being here. Met a couple of your employees, know a couple of your employees. I'm super, can I name drop here?
Absolutely.
There's some folks that I've just kind of known throughout the years, Gavin Morley, Travis Parks, Ruben Giesbrecht, sometimes these guys will come to town and like, we've just known each other for a long time. It's like, let's get a burger.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We went out to what Travis Parks and JD Perry put out there in Oklahoma. And they always do such a good job representing you guys and what you do. And
I have to say that our marketing department keeps us all organized together.
Nice.
They keep us all tied in together, so we all seem to be singing off the same page.
Yeah. Well, such good people. I've met so many of you guys at the show, and names come and go. There's a lot of people in this industry after a while, but yeah.
Or they just show up at a different booth. But you know what? They're still our friends.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that certainly happens, and yeah, you can maintain that civility through all of that. Where do you think it's going? You've been in this 25 years. Like, I look at you as not just a leader from your organization, but really 25 years in any industry, holds its own place.
It's going bigger. That's how I feel. Because whenever I started, it was only a 36-month contract. Then 48-month contract came along, and the building sizes were around, $5,000 at the most. Yeah. Now we're looking at $17,000, $25,000. I'm looking at larger and larger and larger buildings. So I'm seeing a lot of that trend and keeping up with confirming the information, making sure that the driver's license, that you're getting a driver's license, making sure that on these big buildings you're not getting stuck with these big buildings. These big buildings are not necessarily our enemy, as long as the renter is going to pay for the payment. That it's scary, but I do think it's going bigger than getting out of the traditional backyard 8x8 building type situation. It seems to be getting bigger. The fancy chicken coops. TikTok tells me I'm supposed to decorate my chicken coop. TikTok tells me I need a shed library. TikTok tells me this. So we're getting bigger and fancier and prettier, and I feel like it's going that direction.
There's just more use case scenarios now for sheds. Sheds becomes the common denominator. I was talking to someone in Michigan, and they was like, I got a shed out back, and I said, what size? And he said like a 80 by 120, and I'm like, that's a pole barn, or it's a post frame, or I don't know. And he's like, it's a pole shed. And I'm like, so shed becomes this word that you can kind of throw around mysteriously, but it kind of brings us all together, because now you are seeing chicken coops and ADUs and oh gosh, I don't know, all the livestock, shelters. And I think people are trying to diversify, because there was just nothing wrong with traditional storage, but I agree with you, like you're just seeing people want more.
Yeah, human society, at least my algorithms are leading me to people are wanting to be almost like their own little farmers. They're wanting their greenhouse. They're wanting their chickens. They're wanting their little piece of peacefulness. And the shed industry can accommodate that peaceful serenity that everyone is looking for by providing the greenhouses, by giving them design ideas. And I think as long as we just give that environment a big old hug and embrace it, that the shed industry can just keep on going. We love the storage industry. That was great. But the world seems to be going in this other trend, so we need to work along with the trends as well.
When you're a builder, and that's what a lot of these builders want to do, they want to build. They don't want to know the details about RTO. Now, that's not to say that you don't have people who break off and say, wow, I actually understand this better, and I could become a rent-owned company or a provider or whatever they do. But most who get into a trade and are like, I build, so I want to build. They want to know about how websites work, the difference in a Wix and a GoDaddy and a WordPress or custom built site, SEO and GMBs, and like how many acronyms can I go on?
Right.
POS and ERPs, and they're all like, you know what? I just need a JIG. That's the acronym I've got, just a JIG or something, because I want to build something. I don't need to know about this world. But they can serve two markets, I think. They're a builder, so they serve both the storage, which is excess, but then they serve the minimalist, which is, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this, which is wanting to go toward housing almost.
Housing is always a question. It's a don't ask, don't tell type situation, because the rent-to-own industry is very specific whenever you start getting down into laws about homes, and letting people live in the home, and then you're walking in a line of needing a realtor's license and that kind of thing. So you're walking a really, really tight line right there. So you have to be careful and just don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
And that's it. All I'm going to say on that.
It just makes me wonder if we're eventually, I don't know, whether it's the NSRA, whether it's like some organization that can, the shed industry is not autonomously responsible for the housing crisis in America.
No, not at all. Not at all. But if what people do with their buildings, as long as they're making their payment, it's none of my business.
Yeah. And I think that's the approach that most people take. I used to like to tell people we don't police it. We don't recommend it. But it
Our
typically
contract specifically says not a livable.
not to, yeah,
Yes.
not livable, and it just seems like people are wanting, like you said, these bigger buildings. So the bigger buildings are drawing out these payments too, these from $36,000 and $5,000 boxes to
Up to 72.
Yeah.
Heartland goes up to 72.
up to
months.
72, and I don't know what you guys have seen. I've seen sometimes it gets hard to decipher a shed from a house because it can be so much customizations that go into some of these things, but I've seen $20,000-$30,000 units.
We're very specific with our manufacturers whenever they put in their floor plans. Never, ever, ever put in a floor plan that says bedroom, because that's whenever it goes. But we can build out a $40,000 plan that's an office space.
Yeah.
And you say office 1, office 2.
Sure.
Offices can have closets.
Yeah.
Offices can have a kitchenette. Offices can contain all the other aspects, but it needs to be designed as an office space to cover and make sure you stay legal.
It's just got your bases covered. So you think outside of units getting bigger, what else would your crystal ball, 25 years, what else would you say we're going to see in the industry? Tech really came on in the last 5 years heavy.
AI, I don't even know where it's going with AI.
Yeah.
I'm going to be replaced with a robot, I suppose. I have no idea. AI is amazing. AI will tell us where we're going, I think. You're going to be able to take, that chat, GTB, whatever it is, and you'll put in, where do you think the shed industry is going if this is where it's been in the last 10 years? And it can tell us where we're going. That is how fast technology is going in my eyes as an old person.
Yeah. I took on technology slowly. I always like, my wife's with me, so I can tease about this, but I always like to laugh at my in-laws. I use them as the perfect example. Like I remember, the dot-com boom and all that stuff, but I just remember computers. We had a little computer at home and no one knew what to do with it or what to use it. And we were like, why do we have this? And it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it was given to us. It wasn't something we bought because we couldn't afford it. But then once we got to where we could afford one, I just remember her parents always laughed because they were just like, a computer? Like you said, why would anyone want a computer? I want one spying on me. Yeah. And I still hold some of those conspiratorial mindsets myself in 2025. Like I turn my location off randomly and then turn it on just to avoid some of the ads. And I'm like, the man's not going to get me. Government's not getting me. Like I think I'm really hiding my device ID and my IP and all that stuff from them. They have so much information. And they is this mysterious term.
Yes.
They. Who's they?
I have no idea, but they do know me they give me the things to watch on my Facebook and my TikTok all the time. That's very interesting. Yeah. And it's the color schemes that I like. How do they know my color schemes that I like?
They know so much more than we realize they know, because they are capturing your device ID and your IP, and they are following you around the internet. I mean, that's the information that you harvest to learn about your customers. And some people say, well, I don't like that being used. And I'm like, that's being used everywhere. Let's be clear. That's not just a shed industry thing.
Right.
Your marketers in the industry are using what's used in cars, or anything else. You start talking about hot chocolate, mean you're going to have hot chocolate Nestle ads pop up on our phone here in a minute.
Absolutely.
You know, it's wild. Is it an infringement? I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I haven't really had a lot of conversation there. I just know that if you leverage that, you know, I remember my in-laws getting that computer.
Oh, I remember my first computer. It was delivered in those boxes that look like cow print.
Was it a Gateway? That was a Gateway computer.
I think it was. And it came in like 4 or 5 huge boxes, and you had to put it all together, and it didn't do anything except for maybe play one little game that went back and forth, and then you could type blurry words on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in my time, we didn't even have computers in school. I was taught how to type on an electric typewriter, which was fancy for my high school.
I learned in 8th grade typing.
So it has gone so fast, so quick, that I cannot even anticipate where AI and all this.
Yeah, it went to the internet then. And then I just remember, again, to pick on my in-laws because they'll allow me, you know, like the internet. Why would you want the internet? I don't want some person spying on me. And like, next thing you know, they're on the internet. Matter of fact, my mother-in-law's now telling us about her load speed whenever we show up, you know, and we're like, what? You know, and she's like, yeah, I mean, like, you know, you're running too slow. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Now it's AI, and the same conspiracy exists in the mindset that's like, and I think it's like anything. You can do bad with anything. You can do bad with a computer. You can do bad with the internet. You can do bad with AI. And I think we need to have some good guys too, you know, that can reflect where that's going.
Oh, that is such a good point. There are so many phishing emails now trying to gather people's information. I know here locally at some of our businesses here locally, they have been hit with phishing emails because they got in on like maybe an accounting firm's emails, and they hit several of the businesses at once. And this is not gossip. This was actually truth. It got so bad that they can actually live inside of your computer for a little bit. These little bugs learn how you speak and how you type and how you, and who you communicate with. Replicate your email, send it out to people, request information. Not only that, then they can robot your voice, and then they can make a phone call, changing accounts and things with your voice. Wow.
It's easy to see that and grow just agnostic almost to technology as a whole.
Makes you so cautious.
Makes you cautious. And then I think about all the good. You know, I think about the opposite, and I think about all the good that's been done. It can become a confusing time when you're trying to. I still love the stories of the guys who come on the podcast and tell me, we started in 1975. We threw some nails and some boards together. We put them out front, and you know, we tried sticking them on the busiest road. And there's, just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with that, Tiffany. That's an American business model that still works today.
I don't think we will ever be without brick and mortars.
I don't either.
Ever.
Yeah.
Whenever you talk about where the industry is going, yes, there's a lot of online sales, but online sales are also where you find the most crooks.
Most problems.
Yes. The good old customer that walks into that building and sits down with Mr. Smith and signs that contract, and they talk about their grandson or their kids that went to high school together, that's an excellent renter.
Yeah.
So we don't ever want to be without our brick and mortars because our brick and mortars supply us with the best influx of contracts.
I agree. Yeah, and they're a face to your organization to some extent. You know, it's a bit faceless whenever you have this online storefront. Sometimes it's hard to demonstrate that personal touch. Like me and my wife love the idea of click and pull, but we also love the nostalgia of walking in and just throwing things in a cart.
Yes.
We use both, and I think that's just where we're at today.
Yeah, you do need both because sitting at midnight, you can't go into that brick and mortar, but you can sit at midnight and design you a portable building online and go, oh, I hope I can have that someday. So yes, you need to have both abilities to be able to prosper.
So I asked where the industry's going. Where's Heartland going? What is your view on the next 5 years?
Oh, mercy.
Hello. Today we're going to take a look at IFAB's component saw system. So we're utilizing a DeWalt chop saw. We've put it on sliders, easily to adjust. We've automated it using pneumatics so that we can run all these saws together using one actuator. We can either actuate with a two-hand safety control here or a foot pedal. The two-hand safety control comes with board clamps here, so to clamp in your board so you're totally hands-free. We've got digital readout up here to find your angle as well as your length. So we have a 90-degree saw here for your super long angle cuts. We've also got a conveyor on this system to take away your cutoffs. This system is completely modular. We can add as many saws as you need. The rails can be as long as you need.
For more information, visit www.ifabllc.com.
They've grown so much in just the past 5 years. Whenever we brought on the BLI company and we merged together, that was a lot of growth and a lot of things that we had to learn, because one company may have a certain type of software, another company has a different type of software. Learning how to manage teams that work from home. That's another thing that Heartland has experienced since COVID. And we continue with. We have all sorts of teams that work in Kansas that we kept from whenever we took over BLI. And so learning to work with people working from home and growing our company. Because being a manager of the people that work from home is different than being a manager when you can walk straight up to them and knock on their shoulder and go, "Excuse me, what did you do that for?" And the way you talk to them whenever you're talking on Teams is a difference too, because they can't see your facial expressions. I can say something it sounds mean, but I'm smiling and you know it's a joke. Whenever you're working with teams that are at home, you have to be conscious of that the way you come across. Heartland's going to grow and get bigger and grow and get bigger. I've said, working for the Burnett's all my entire time, I said, you never know, they might walk in and say, "Hey, we're going to rent to own a tricycle next week." I just have to be prepared to rent to own a tricycle. And so I just have to be prepared to do it. We have the infrastructure in place with our legal department, excellent legal department that handles the bankruptcies. They've broken all that up. We have an attorney here in the office. We have a wonderful accounting team. Call center, another shout out, Annetta. She runs call center. She's amazing. So all I see is growth.
Yeah, I agree. I think the industry both will grow. I only see you guys becoming a bigger player. I remember the BLI transition there, and you're right. You're almost getting into my wheelhouse when you're talking about communication and influx of voice and communication. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not even a shed geek. I'm a communication geek. I love the idea of good communication. And that started for me in sales. That started for me. I told you I had a 10-year career at the casino. That started for me whenever I learned people. Simon Sinek says 100% of businesses are by people and for people, right? And if you don't know business, or if you don't know people, then you don't know business. And I think I try to learn the people before I try to learn the business. If I can understand the people, if I can really connect with them, because the hardest and longest goal is what I'm trying to say out of my heart to my mouth, to your ears and to your heart. For some reason, that journey is like miles long for some people, and that gets lost in influx, in all caps in a text or an email.
Yes.
Or just the way you move, your body posture, or all these signals, right, that people are taking in as they're talking back and forth with people. 2 people in a conversation, yet 4 people doing, like, I'm sitting here asking you questions, yet I'm thinking, you're talking and you're thinking at the same time. Sometimes we just get in our own way to be able to communicate effectively and do what's best. Do what's best. So sorry for that.
Whenever I was preparing in the mirror this morning, putting on my makeup, going, I wonder what he's going to ask me. It came to me about customer service, because one of my big things is, depending on what hat you have on, your customer changes. So a CSR, a customer service representative, I'm not fond of the word customer. I want to replace it with people, a people service representative. Because maybe your customer that you're talking to or your person is a dealer. Maybe they are the rent-to-own customer, but maybe it's a manufacturer. Maybe it's another team member. Becoming a people service representative and helping all the people, whether they're on your team, outside of your business, that is so important. And that if you get to be a people service representative, whether you're in your company, whether you're at home with your husband, whether you're dealing with your grandchildren, you prosper. And that's why Chris prospers, is he is a people service representative.
I'll tell you what, the phrase that I don't have any pet peeves, but the one that I'm not crazy about is that's the way he or she is. You just have to get used to it. It's one of the hardest things for me to swallow, because I'm just kind of like, I think it's our place to try to communicate effectively. And if we shut down that communication through that's just the way we are, that's just the way I am, get used to it, it just doesn't feel like leadership. It you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel like leadership.
Oh, man, you're stepping on my toes right now. Woo-wee. Because I have experienced that so much, because my personality is very sharp-tongued emails. And I don't realize
all caps
they're sharp.
emails?
No, not all caps. But just my words. I can be pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And I can have a deadly tongue when it comes to emails. And I have to reread my emails and reread them and really think about, am I presenting me the way I want to present me, or am I presenting a person who is being a bully?
Bible talks a lot about the meekness of Jesus.
Yeah.
The meekness. And probably for me and you, sometimes those are hard things whenever somebody steps on your toes. Those are difficult things, because that defense mechanism kicks in. And it's like, wait a minute, am I in a place where I defend myself? We were laughing last night because my daughter was telling me something about during the Olympics in France, they had to start telling the pickpocketers to quit pickpocketing Americans because they were sending too many of them to the hospital. Like, Americans weren't taking it. They were fighting back. And in some small part of me, deep down, I was
funny.
like, that's great. I love that we have that reputation. Like, we're not going to take anything off anybody. Don't come take my stuff, or we're going to fight back. And I don't know, I'm getting in the weeds here, but at some place it's like, where do you find that middle ground of, I need meekness and I need to stand up, and
that's a life challenge, isn't it? And you have to be bold. There is a time to fight, and there is a time to be mild. There's a time to cry. There's a time to be happy. We don't always get it right. And it's having that grace of apologizing to ourselves whenever we don't get it right, because we are our worst judges. And if I'm mean to someone in an email and they point it out to me, hey, you were being too mean, I can apologize to them. And you know what? Usually they forgive me and they never think about it again.
Yeah.
Me, it eats me forever, because I did not ever mean to hurt someone.
Right.
But I did.
Yeah. You're just trying to be direct. You're trying to be direct. You're trying to be good at your job. I think that's one thing that people overlook, is that most people, even in their failures, are doing things to be good at their job. They want to please their boss. They want to do a good job. I mean, they're looking for whatever recognition, maybe that's monetarily, maybe that's through attaboys. Whatever it is, people are looking to do a good job. So, like, a lot of times, if you look past even their failure and you look to their intention, the best of intentions sometimes don't always make it to the surface.
The hugs.
Yeah.
The attaboys, what you were talking about. Communication is one thing when it comes to teams and emails and that thing. But we have a young man here, Alex, every day. Now, he works at one end of the building. I work midway through the building. But the restrooms are on the other end. We will pass each other sometime, go into the kitchen or something. Every day he gives me a giant bear hug. That communication alone
says
huge.
a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I look forward to my bear hugs. Now, I've known him since he was a child. He grew up with my son. So I've known him. He used to swim in the swimming pool. He always swam underwater, and he would push this mask on so hard that it would give like a little hickey
Little
around his eyeballs.
raccoon eyes.
Oh, so cute. But every day, and comes in and gives me that big old bear hug, and that's my communication for the day from him. So communication is huge, whether it's in a physical form or in a written.
You said
form.
about 5 years ago, you really dove into your faith.
I did.
I'll tell you something that changed me when you talk about like nonverbal communication is I told my pastor one time, now I'm going to get in trouble here because I'm going to start talking too much, right? I'm going to expose a little bit, but I've been to a lot of different churches, and I'm not super big on denomination. Sorry guys. I'm just not.
Neither am I.
Went to a Baptist church for years, a Methodist church for years. And I landed in a church one time, and I was like going there for 2 months. And I'm looking at somebody, I'm like, what kind of church is this? And he's like, well, it's technically Pentecostal. And I was like, oh, well, I had all this thoughts in my mind about what a Pentecostal church was. I didn't learn the word charismatic until later, and come to learn that they were probably way different than a Pentecostal church. But like one guy told me, if you've met one Amish person, you've met one Amish person. But we believe, we've met them all because we know one, or Mennonite, or a Baptist in any way, or Methodist, or Catholic, or Baptist, or Lutheran, or whatever. But I told my pastor one time, I was like, look, I'm not maybe necessarily the super emotional guy. Now I can be emotional, go to the altar and those kinds of things, and cry. And I said, but a lot of times all I do is cry.
Me too.
Just shut down and cry. No emotion, but I just cry. And my pastor told me, he said, that's okay because God can discern your tears.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it changed my life because it was just like, he understands what the words of my tears say. And that is special when it comes to your faith. Because sometimes it's all you got. You're just like, I ain't got nothing left. I'll just cry. And he's like, that's okay. He understands that. And you're just like, he does? You're just like, he does. That's great. Before we go too far in the weeds here, what is Heartland's message to your customer? What would you want to say? I think you said it well here today, but what would you want to say?
Heartland's message to our customer, well, it depends on who our customer is. If you're talking about whether they're the rent-to-own customer or whether they're the dealer, their manufacturer, whether they're the driver that works for us, whether they are the employee that works here, that Heartland wants to give their heart and help them. Yeah. And if that's helped them figure out how to make their payment, if it's helped them be on the phone call with them while they have a gun pointed at them picking up the repo, whether it has helped them another company that's having problems with the same fraud ring that we are. It's give our heart and help people.
Yeah. I think you've done a very good job of explaining that today. I think that your communication, verbal and nonverbal, came across very clear. So.
Good, because I was a nervous wreck.
Well, you did great. Any shout outs you want to give? Any thanks, any appreciation, just anybody that you're like, you know what, if they listen to this, I want them to know that I really appreciate them and the things they do.
I'm afraid to do that because I will miss
leave somebody
someone.
out. Mm-hmm.
But just everyone that we work with here at Heartland, our inventory department, that's a new department that we've developed. Janice, she does such a great job with that. Aria, she keeps me on schedule. And she's our head of our marketing, and she just keeps me where I need to be. I don't know where I need to be. I don't know what time I'm supposed to be somewhere. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. She sends me messages. She keeps me. She tells me where to park, where I'm supposed to go. And without that, I couldn't make it. And then it's just such a good family. We are a family here. So Brent, John, Annetta, Jennifer, all of us, we work together so closely, and I know I missed so many people, and so many's going to be upset. But I will take a little personal moment because personal pride.
Go for it.
My baby girl, Jordan, she works in our repo department, and she's settling on her house. We settle on it tomorrow. She closes tomorrow, and she's purchasing a house. And the rent-to-own industry in Heartland not only provided a means for me to buy a home, to provide for my daughter to live in, now my daughter's able to buy a home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a testimony and a shout out to just the consistency and the ability to, a single mom, and stay nose to the grindstone and just keep moving forward. No, I think it's really well received here today, and I'm glad we were able to make this happen. It was a little iffy. I thought we were going to have to push it back a week.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
I feel so much better. Honestly, moments like these feed me. So, I think it all in all, it helps me overall be better. Interesting journey. Definitely an interesting week. Thankful for what you guys do. What you guys do and have done for so many years have allowed so many of us to be involved in this industry.
I'm addicted to it.
Yeah. I understand. There's a reason I started calling myself a shed geek at one point, is I was like, this is a little weird how much you're starting to like this industry. And God just gave me this opportunity. And I said in a message this morning, like, I know there's some new things coming. I don't know what they are, but this event that I had in the hospital, I really talked to the Lord, and he kind of put some things on my heart, so we'll see where those goes. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. So it's the name of being obedient.
That small, still voice, when it's speaking to you, that's the voice you better be listening to.
I've tried to avoid that voice a few times. Do it on my own.
Me too.
You know how that works out? It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But when you listen and you go, but I don't see a way.
Right.
I don't see how it's going to happen. I don't see an opportunity there. God says, well, you don't worry about that stuff. Like, I've got it covered. And you're just like, oh, okay.
You're getting back towards my children's church last Sunday. I was talking about how God is forever, and He is constant. He is the constant. We're not constant. We weren't made to be like a constant. That's only God's job, to be a constant. Ours is a cycle, because that gives us the opportunity to depend on Him.
Yeah.
If we didn't go through the growth and the breaking through of the growth and then the falling off of the leaves and the rest period, just like the seasons go through, we wouldn't have an opportunity to depend on Him.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. I've loved, just like in most situations, and many who would tell you this, when I've sat at kitchen tables with Dale Beachy, when I've sat with Gavin Morley while we're both on the road and we're crossing paths and it's 1:00 in the morning and we're at a hotel lobby just talking about Jesus. Really, I've enjoyed that as much as I have what Heartland does in the industry, for the industry, and such.
And working for a company that I can express myself like that, and that support you to do things that. Okay, so one time I was doing a church flyers, and I called Chris. I didn't have a printer at the church. I said, do you mind if I use? He said, you don't even have to ask me to use the paper and the ink to do your church flyers. Of course you can. So to have a company that supports that kind of faith, and he's not the same denomination I am, but did he let me use the printer and the paper to support a church that's doing a function? He did. That is...
If we can be a little more of that in the shed industry, that would just be great.
Yes.
It'd just be great. I feel like we'd grow this thing big enough that like everyone can eat comfortably, and the rest is business and decisions. It's systems and processes. It's prayer and it's promise and it's effort and so many other things. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this way more than I even knew I was going to enjoy it. I hope you felt comfortable.
I have.
Okay.
I was nervous, but now I'm not nervous at all.
Good. For those who want to reach out to you as if they don't know how to Google, what's a good way and an opportunity in case they want to reach out and talk about Heartland's services?
HCI.net. That's our website, and you go to HCI.net, and it'll give you all the abilities to do contacts. You can contact as a customer, or you can also fill in to be a partner, and you can partner with Heartland through the drop-down menus and everything on HCI.net.
And we'll make sure, for those of you listening today, to put a link to that on the episode. So if you get our newsletter, our email newsletter, just go and click on it, and I know Miss Tiffany and her team will take care of the rest for you. So I haven't done this in a while. I've really felt good through this. You care if I just pray us out of here?
I would love for that.
Okay.
Do you mind if we hold hands?
No, absolutely. Lord, thank you for this day, this opportunity, just these opportunities to talk about you, even in this nature of business that we find ourselves into, that you're greater than business. You're greater than our daily schedules, that you provide us with everything that we need, and that you're sovereign, and that you're good, that you're a good Father, that you give so many things to us and you care for us so much, that you make a way for us. I ask you to bless Tiffany, her journey, Heartland's journey. I ask you to bless those that are in leadership, that oversees the whole process, and all that they service, customers and drivers and dealers. Just ask that you would let your light shine through their efforts. We thank you for these opportunities. We know they're given to you, are given to us by you. And we just say thank you today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Appreciate it so much.
you.
It's been fun.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor for 2025. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com, or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you, and have a blessed day.